in most historic European capitals, there's this kind of unspoken rule, like you're just there to observe.
Right, like you're looking at a museum exhibit behind glass or something.
Exactly. You look at the monument, you snap a photo of the statue, you quietly eat your traditional pastry, and the city politely thanks you for your currency. But then you step into Budapest.
Oh, yeah.
And suddenly that metaphorical museum glass just completely shatters.
Yeah.
We are so incredibly thrilled you're joining us today because we are throwing out the standard itineraries. Welcome to the deep dive.
We really are. We've been poring over this massive stack of, 2026 travel dispatches, architectural histories, cultural essays, culinary deep dives. And we did this specifically to uncover the underlying mechanics of this city.
Yeah, we want to equip you with a real shortcut to the true soul of Budapest. It's this wild city where you can casually drink a 24-karat gold cappuccino in a 19th century palace at breakfast.
Right.
And then spend midnight dancing under laser lights in a bombed out abandoned apartment building.
It really is the ultimate collision of grand history and just chaotic street culture.
Totally. And before we get into the mechanics of how this city actually functions, we should make one thing very clear to you right up front. Our journey today is entirely about culture, history, and the human experience.
Yes, absolutely.
We are leaving all modern political debates completely at the door. No politics. Our focus is strictly the art, the architecture, the food, and the people.
Which naturally brings us to the modern pulse of the city's youth culture. If we really want to understand how Budapest breathes in 2026, we have to look at the Sziget Festival.
Oh, Sziget. I mean, historically, this is a massive event, right?
Yeah.
It takes over an entire island in the middle of the Danube River.
It does. But this year, they're doing something very intentional. They are bringing back Day Zero on August 10th, and the lineup is incredibly nostalgic. We're talking Faithless, Morchiba, and Goran Bregovic's Wedding and Funeral Orchestra.
I was looking at that lineup, and it strikes me as such a deliberate bridge. You have the veterans who were going to Sziget back in, the early 2000s, and now you have the new generation of 18-year-olds there, too.
Exactly. But reading through the cultural essays we have, Sziget is operating on a totally different level now. It's not just a music festival anymore.
No, they're carrying some really heavy social weight. Specifically, they're targeting the intense mental pressure and anxiety that the 16 to 25 age demographic is facing right now.
Yeah, and they're channeling that through the S-Society movement. What's fascinating here is how a massive entertainment entity is adopting a year-round, ecosystem-level responsibility.
Right, because usually a festival just rolls into a city, builds a temporary stage, throws a party for a week, and then packs up and leaves. It's purely transactional.
Exactly. But Sziget is proving that pure entertainment and genuine social care can actually merge. They've established the S-Super S-Society Award, which actively funds and highlights school psychologists, digital creators, and NGOs doing really innovative work in youth mental health.
That's huge.
It is. They are leveraging their massive platform to illuminate the invisible struggles of young people.
And that fusion,
Yeah.
letting off steam through partying while maintaining a deep underlying social awareness that feels like the exact DNA of Budapest.
Oh, totally.
It's the exact same energy driving the 7th District, the Jewish Quarter, which is essentially the permanent year-round hub of this youth culture. This is where you find the world-famous ruin bars.
Right. And for anyone who hasn't seen the photos, a ruin bar is basically an establishment built directly into the decaying skeleton of an abandoned building.
Yeah, you have peeling paint, crumbling brick, and it's all illuminated by these mismatched fairy lights and modern art installations.
Simplicurt is the original pioneer of this concept. It's actually 20 years old now.
Wow, 20 years.
Yeah. And then you have places like Instant Focus, which has metastasized into Europe's largest party complex. It literally swallowed an entire apartment building. It offers 7 different floors, 18 separate bars, and multiple open-air courtyards.
The visual of these places is so striking. Honestly, it reminds me of a hermit crab.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Right, the city found these abandoned, dilapidated shells and just crawled inside to make a glowing, vibrant new home. But let me push back on the romanticism here for a second.
Okay, sure.
Looking at the origins of these bars, isn't this just an economic loophole? Was the original concept really an artistic statement? Or was it just, an excuse for cash-strapped entrepreneurs in the early 2000s to sell cheap drinks without having to pay for structural renovations?
Well, honestly, in the early 2000s, the economic reality was exactly that. Following the fall of communism, there was a profound legal and economic limbo in the city.
Makes sense.
Yeah, many of the buildings in the 7th District were tied up in complex ownership disputes, or they were simply too expensive for the city to demolish or renovate. They were just rotting.
Right.
So resourceful people rented them for pennies, dragged in thrift store furniture, and started selling beer. But the magic lies in what that economic loophole inadvertently achieved.
Because they couldn't afford to tear them down.
Exactly. Because they couldn't afford to tear the buildings down, the ruin bars ended up preserving the exact physical footprint of the old neighborhood.
And that footprint carries immense historical weight. As our sources emphasize, the 7th District is not just a playground.
No, not at all.
During World War II, this exact area was walled off as the Jewish ghetto. Thousands of people perished on these streets. You could still literally see bullet holes in the stone facades.
It's sobering.
It really is. And today, despite the heavy gentrification and the pulsing nightlife, it is still a working residential neighborhood. Families live there. Students live there.
Which is why this demands a profound level of responsible travel from anyone visiting. When you are moving from one ruin bar to another at 2 in the morning, you are walking on heavy historical ground right beneath the bedroom windows of locals.
Yeah, the ultimate rule we want to impart to you is to treat the district as if it were your own neighborhood. You can absolutely experience the nightlife, but you must remain conscious of the layers of history you are standing on.
Beautifully said. And it's wild to think that the same neighborhood housing these crumbling post-WWII ruin bars is anchored by one of the most opulent, meticulously preserved buildings from a century earlier.
Oh, this synagogue.
Yes, just a few streets away from Simple Kurt is the Dahani Street Synagogue. It was inaugurated in 1859 and remains the second largest synagogue in the entire world.
The contrast there is just staggering. You go from beautiful decay to this overwhelming absolute grandeur.
And that grandeur really defines Budapest architecture. The city functions as a showcase of 19th century ambition.
Hey there.
If we look at the Hungarian State Opera House, which was built between 1875 and 1884 by the brilliant architect Miklos Julio, it is just a masterclass in neo-Renaissance design.
It's a building designed to intimidate you with its beauty, honestly. You walk up to the exterior cornice, and there are these 16 towering statues of grandmasters Mozart, Beethoven, Verdi just staring down at you.
Right.
And then you walk into the horseshoe-shaped main auditorium, you look up, and there's a sweeping mural of the Olympian gods painted by Carolee Lots. And hanging dead center from that mural is a massive 3-ton bronze candelabra.
That room holds incredible historical weight, specifically because of what happened there between 1888 and 1891. That was the Opera House's golden age, driven by the legendary composer and director Gustav Mahler.
Mahler was a notorious perfectionist, right?
Oh, absolutely. He demanded total darkness in the auditorium during performances, which was completely revolutionary at the time, and he elevated the orchestral standards across the board. But his perfectionism was actually aided by the room itself.
How so?
Well, acoustic studies rank this auditorium as having the third best sound quality in all of Europe. It trails only behind La Scala in Milan and the Palais Garnier in Paris.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second. I was reading about those acoustic rankings, and it got me thinking about that 3-ton chandelier you mentioned.
Yeah.
If you have a giant multi-ton metal object hanging right in the middle of a room where sound waves are bouncing around, surely that impacts the audio, right? Or is a chandelier that massive, purely an architectural flex by the designers to signal their immense wealth?
It definitely serves as a statement of wealth, but from a purely acoustic standpoint, massive irregular objects hanging in a grand hall are incredibly functional.
Really?
Yeah, they act as acoustic diffusers. If a hall just has a flat, highly reflective ceiling, the sound from the orchestra hits it and bounces straight back down.
Right, making an echo.
Exactly. It creates what acoustic engineers call standing waves, where the sound waves collide, canceling each other out or creating muddy, echoing hot spots in the audience.
So the chandelier physically breaks up the sound.
Precisely. The complex angles, the bronze arms, the glass, they catch the sound waves and scatter them perfectly in a million different directions, washing the room in a rich, even sound.
That is amazing.
So that 19th century architectural flex happens to be the mechanical secret to Mahler's perfect acoustics.
I just love when vanity accidentally creates acoustic perfection. And speaking of vanity, if you want to experience that level of unadulterated 19th century flexing yourself, the culinary guides point straight to the New York Cafe.
Oh, yes. It has been operating for 125 years.
You sit there, surrounded by twisting marble columns and ceiling frescoes, and you can casually order a cappuccino covered entirely in edible 24-karat gold leaf.
It is the absolute pinnacle of European decadence, and it really highlights how seriously Hungarians take their consumption, which I think leads us perfectly into the current culinary renaissance happening in Budapest.
Yeah, Hungarian gastronomy is aggressively returning to its rural roots right now, and chefs are leveraging those humble origins to earn Michelin stars.
I noticed the Made in Hungary initiative in our culinary magazines, and they lean heavily on one specific ingredient, Basilica pork.
I was looking at photos of these pigs, and they literally look like a sheep-pig hybrid. They're covered in this thick, curly, blonde fleece. It's wild. Why are high-end chefs so obsessed with this specific breed over standard pork?
Well, Basilica is widely considered the Kobe beef of pork, and it all comes down to the biology and the rearing process. Unlike mass-market pigs that are bred for lean meat and fast growth in confined spaces, Basilica pigs are a heritage breed raised free range.
So they're out in the woods.
Exactly. They spend their time foraging in natural pastures and forests. Because of this active natural lifestyle and their unique genetics, they develop an incredibly thick layer of fat.
Right.
But it's not tough fat. It is heavily marbled right into the muscle. And more importantly, because of their diet, that fat is packed with unsaturated fatty acids, making it melt at a much lower temperature.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it coats the palate with a rich, complex flavor that standard pork simply cannot replicate.
That sounds amazing. But you cannot talk about Hungarian flavor without talking about paprika.
Very true.
I always assumed Hungarian food was inherently spicy.
Yeah.
But the history of their paprika is completely fascinating. Apparently, before 1859, all paprika in Hungary did have a serious, aggressive kick. It was essentially peasant food.
Right.
But in 1859, in the southern city of Szeged, two brothers named Palfi completely changed the course of global cuisine.
They did, and they did it through painstaking physical labor. The Palfi brothers discovered that the heat in a pepper isn't actually in the flesh. The capsaicin is concentrated in the veins and the seeds.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so they developed a method to manually slice open the peppers and physically scrape out all the veins and seeds before drying and grinding the flesh.
That must have taken forever.
It was incredibly labor-intensive, but this process created the world's first truly sweet paprika, allowing the rich, earthy flavor of the pepper to shine without burning the palate. It transformed paprika from a harsh spice into a foundational flavor pillar that eventually reached the royal courts.
And today, you see chefs combining these foundational pillars. Going back to that Made in Hungary initiative we talked about, one of their signature dishes pairs seared duck liver with a glass of 6 Petonios Tokajiosu.
Yes.
Now, Tokajiosu is a famous sweet wine, but what exactly does 6 Petonios mean on a molecular level?
It's a brilliant, centuries-old measurement of sweetness. In the Tokaj region, they allow their grapes to be affected by noble rot, which is a beneficial fungus that shrivels the grape and concentrates the sugars.
It sounds weird, but okay.
It does, but it's magic. A putney is the traditional wooden basket used to harvest these ultra-sweet raisin grapes. The number in this case, 6, refers to how many baskets of these concentrated grapes were added to the base barrel of wine.
Ah, got it. So 6 is a lot.
6 is exceptionally high. It creates a wine with complex, honeyed sweetness and very high acidity. When you pair that sharp, acidic sweetness with the dense, savory, umami fat of the seared duck liver, the wine literally slices through the fat on your tongue. It is a perfectly engineered culinary mechanism.
That sounds incredible.
Yeah.
But our sources also know that sometimes, you just want to grab something amazing while walking around the 7th district.
Of course.
For daily staples, the guides rave about Aran Bakery, which is actually run by an Irish couple who integrated their baking techniques into the local scene.
And for a dinner of traditional Hungarian Jewish fusion, Kaliv is a beloved casual staple.
Definitely. And we must address the morning after.
Oh, yes.
If you fully engaged with the ruined bars we discussed earlier, you might find yourself in need of serious recovery. For that, the local consensus points directly to circus.
Yes, the ultimate hangover cure. The lines out the door there are notorious, but they serve something called the Mr. Molnar sandwich.
What's in it?
It's a soft brioche bun, loaded with creamy scrambled eggs, melted cheese, and served with a side of sharp gherkins. It provides the exact mechanical ratio of fats, salts, and simple carbohydrates your body needs to reboot its system.
To prevent that hangover in the first place, though, you should understand the mechanics of local drinking, specifically the frux.
The frux, yes.
This is the traditional Hungarian wine spritzer, and it is approached with mathematical precision. You don't just ask a bartender to splash some water in your wine.
No, absolutely not.
There is a specific vocabulary for every conceivable ratio. My favorite is the husmester, which translates to the janitor. It is exactly 3 deciliters of wine mixed with 2 deciliters of soda water.
The crucial element here, and this is a hard rule for anyone attempting to order or make one, is the type of water used. You must never use mineral water to make a frux.
Now, never.
Never. You must use purified soda water, traditionally dispensed from a high-pressure siphon.
Is that because the minerals interfere with the wine?
Exactly. Mineral water contains dissolved salts, magnesium, and calcium. If you introduce those heavily structured minerals into the delicate acidic profile of a wine, it clashes violently.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it dulls the fruit notes and leaves this bitter, metallic finish. Siphon soda is pure carbonation. It lifts the aromatics of the wine without altering the chemical taste.
Makes total sense. So, after you've navigated the architectural marvels, consumed the Mangalica pork and duck liver, and masterfully ordered your chemically balanced frocks, your body's going to require a systemic reset.
Yeah.
And Budapest's ultimate trump card is its thermal bath culture.
To understand why Budapest has so many baths, we have to look beneath the pavement. The city sits squarely on a massive geological fault line in the Carpathian Basin.
Right.
The Earth's crust here is unusually thin, meaning the geothermal heat from the Earth's mantle is much closer to the surface.
So the water gets heated naturally.
Yes, groundwater seeps deep into the Earth, gets superheated by this geothermal energy, absorbs heavy concentrations of calcium, magnesium, and sulfate from the rocks, and is then pushed back up to the surface through over 100 natural springs.
And they just harnessed that geology and built palaces right on top of it.
They did.
The most famous is Székely, located in City Park. It is vast, painted in this bright royal yellow with enormous outdoor pools where you can watch older locals playing chess on floating boards in the water.
It's iconic.
It really is. And it's also the location of the famous Sparties. On Saturday nights, they drain some of the pools, bring in lasers, and host massive electronic music parties right in the thermal water.
For a more visually refined experience, there is the Gellert Baths. It's predominantly indoors and features some of the most breathtaking Art Nouveau tile work in Europe. You are essentially soaking in a giant, intricate mosaic.
But if you are looking for the quietest, most authentic local experience, the sources strongly point to Veli Bej.
Oh, Veli Bej is wonderful.
It's a much smaller, intimate octagonal bath that dates all the way back to the Ottoman era in the 16th century. The unique thing about Veli Bej is its strict capacity control.
Right, you cannot buy tickets online.
Nope. You have to physically show up, and if they are at capacity, you sit in the lobby and wait for someone to leave. It keeps the noise down and the experience incredibly peaceful.
Conversely, our travel dispatches suggest skipping the Dandar baths. While they are historically interesting and located right near the Zwack Unicum herbal liqueur factory, they're quite small, out of the way, and don't really offer the grand architectural or historical experience of the others.
Good to know.
Yeah.
And before you venture out to any of these baths, we have a highly practical, money-saving tip for you. Do not rent the overpriced hard plastic slippers at the spa reception desk.
Oh, please don't.
Instead, find a local discount retail store, there's a popular chain called Pepco, and buy a cheap pair of foam slides for €2 or €3. You can use them at every bathhouse during your stay, pack them or toss them, and you won't be forced to walk barefoot across wet communal locker room tiles.
That's a pro tip. And hygiene is taken very seriously in these spaces. You must follow the established etiquette.
What's the main rule?
The most unbreakable rule is that you must thoroughly shower with soap before entering any of the communal thermal pools. You are sharing this mineral water with hundreds of other people. The pre-shower is a mandatory sign of respect for the community.
Absolutely.
Furthermore, while some historic European bathhouses maintain a clothing-optional tradition, it is important to note that all public bathhouses in Budapest now strictly require swimsuits. There is no naked bathing permitted in the main facilities.
So keep your swimsuit on, respect the shared spaces, and soak in the geology.
Exactly.
Pulling all of these threads together, the overarching theme of Budapest becomes incredibly clear. We have explored a city that carries visible, heavy scars, from the bullet holes in the Jewish quarter to the economic limbo of the post-communist era. Yet, it refuses to be defined solely by that trauma.
It absorbs that history and builds on top of it. You see it in the way the opulence of the Opera House's 3-ton chandelier sits in the exact same city as the raw, peeling walls of simpler Kurt.
Right.
Budapest proves that a city doesn't have to be just one thing. The elegant and the chaotic rely on each other to give the city its unique friction.
And that leaves us with a lingering thought for you to mull over today.
Yeah.
In a modern world that is so completely obsessed with tearing down the old to build shiny, sterile, hyper-efficient new things, does Budapest prove that true cultural magic only happens when you force the heavy past and the chaotic present to share the exact same physical space?
It is a profound question, and perhaps a blueprint for how we should view our own cities.
Well, we want to extend a huge thank you to you, our listener. Thank you for giving us your time, your attention, and for joining us on this deep dive.
We truly appreciate your curiosity. Thank you for exploring these complex mechanics with us.
Take care of yourselves, keep questioning how the world around you works, and we will see you in the next deep dive.